AP, it's nice to meet you here in Limerick at the rugby experience. How have you found it so far?
It's phenomenal. There's things, that, I didn't really play much rugby as a kid. I'm a sports fan, so I like all sports. And coming here today, you look at, there's things here. Kids will have a field day in here. I actually wanted to have loads of goals myself.
What are you talking about? You did.
I did. I tried to jump, but I couldn't get my hands above my head because unfortunately I've fallen off quite a lot of horses and my shoulders are not very good. But there's kicking experience and throwing experience and all that. And actually, I'm one of these silly sports people who think, I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Keith Wood and Paul O'Connell and thinking, I could run into them, and they'll know that I'm after running into them, obviously in my head. But no, it's a phenomenal building and it's a great experience. And they're very lucky to have this here.
Yeah. Well, actually, when you say that, Keith Wood actually hasn't done the kicking or the throwing challenge in front of people. That's how competitive he is. Yeah. He doesn't want us to see him do it.
Yeah, and as you see today, we're talking about some of the great rugby players that we've ever seen. Francois Pienaar and Bryan Habana, and obviously lots of our own. See, Johnny Sexton's, he's going through what I went through most of my life, or a lot of my life, injury, which is the toughest part. So you have to get, to get the likes of those people to come here and see what they have here, and they're all obviously so impressed by it. How could you not be impressed? But the architectural work, it's a beautiful building, but obviously the purpose and the meaning that it's going to have too is, Limerick is very lucky.
Yeah. I was just speaking to Johnny Sexton there just about his injury, and he mentioned, it's mentally tough. That's the thing at the minute for him. For you, you've went through it many times. Will you get a chance to maybe have a conversation with him? Yeah,
I actually spoke to him last night. Injury, look, physically, obviously, it is very tough. But the mental part of injury, those few seconds when you do get injured, those few minutes, the pain only lasts for a little while in terms of, hopefully, if it's not life-changing, with obviously being a jockey or being a rugby player, they can be. But that sort of an injury, the pain of it lasts for a short period of time. And the more pain is the recovery. And the trying to get yourself better without doing too much, because as a Johnny Sexton, you're always going to want to push yourself. You're never going to be happy, but there's a fine line from driving yourself too much, and obviously you have a goal of getting to play in a Rugby World Cup. The mindset. It's all about timing and patience and building it up to hope that you're strong enough. So it is the most difficult part. It is the most difficult part of sport. Injuries the most difficult, and the people who are, I think it was Carl Lewis, the athlete, said, if you're not close to being injured, you're not training hard enough. And there is a fine line between, and all the really, really good ones. There's that little element that will make you go a little bit further than everyone else, and you spend a lot of your life in pain because you want to do things that other people can't, and to do that, it's never going to be perfect. So. But yeah, it's very, very hard to even think about trying to replace a Johnny Sexton, isn't it? It's near on impossible. So I think, like everyone, it's very important that he, hopefully he'll get back to full fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all fingers crossed now for the World Cup, and that's what he's looking to as well. For you then, are you still out riding out in the mornings? Are you still involved?
Yeah, I still like riding. Obviously I don't get to do it like I used to, but I obviously love horses. I love riding horses. I love being with them. I often think I get on better than I do with people sometimes. So it's, it's the one thing that as a professional rugby player, you can't really get to play rugby at a really high or at a level. At least you can go for riding your horse and enjoy it. And it's not the same as competing or winning on a big stage. But I'm very lucky. I'm busy, and I'm lucky that I get to help with JP's horses and stuff like that, so I get to keep an eye on them in England and get to go and watch them and hopefully find some good ones, which we look like we have at the moment. So I'm very jealous that I'm not still riding some of them, to be honest. I'm not I'd like to say I'm not bitter about not being able to do it, but I am, because I watch a lot of them and think, oh God, I'd love a go on that one, but I think that's what people like me do. You're silly enough to believe that you actually could still do it when you can't, when you're actually too old and too fat and too unfit. So, but no,
I think you still could.
But anyway, but yeah, that's the great thing about sport, and I love all sport, but obviously racing is my passion.
Yeah. And growing up, did you play any other sports, or your family, were they involved in any sport?
I played a little bit of Gaelic football. I thought I was great at that. I thought I would have thought I was going to be probably one of, I thought Antrim would have won lots of All-Ireland medals if I had been playing football for them, in my mind. I had a little go at snooker when we had Alex Higgins and Dennis Taylor, and I had a little go at boxing, not so much when Barry McGuigan was around. Those things, you get people that people in sport that you kind of look up to, and you have that moment where everyone watches, don't they?
Yeah. Like when you watch Wimbledon and everyone goes to play tennis.
Yeah. My brother actually was an All-Ireland champion boxer a few times. So I like all kind of sports. I like watching. So I had a go at them all. Wasn't really good at any of them. Luckily, I liked horses. I've got 4 sisters and 1 brother. None of them have ever been a horse in their life. So I'm the black sheep in the family that left home at 15 and yeah, it's just, I know I'm not saying I'm a believer in fate, but I do think that there is actually a picture of me sat on a horse at home when I was 4, so, and there's no pictures of any of the rest of my family, so I'm a kind of a believer now in my mind that it was just meant to happen. And but I like sport. I like all sports.
And where did that come from? Was any of your parents or anything involved with horses?
Not really. My dad was a builder. He had a bit of a joiner. He had a bit of land at home. I don't know where he ended up with a horse anyway, and it was a thoroughbred, and it was in foal, and a man who trained horses sort of 15 or 20 miles from my home came to buy one of the foals off my dad, and my dad got friendly with him, and he used to go and watch the horses exercise on a Saturday morning, and I used to go with him, and I thought I'd like to go on one of those. So from the age of, I had a pony or two at a young age, but at the age of 10 or 11, 12 I started riding race horses, and then I thought the ponies got ditched, and I thought, God, I love the power and the speed and the excitement of being on a racehorse. And I didn't really know an awful lot about racing. I probably didn't start watching it till I remember watching Last Suspect win the Grand National in 1985. I was 11 years old, and it was kind of from that then I started watching horse racing. Before that I'd played soccer and Gaelic and all those things, and I actually was telling someone a story that I actually brought my little boy to watch Arsenal and Oxford in the FA Cup 6 or 7 weeks ago, and a really good friend of mine, Robbie Fowler, his son was at Oxford, and he brought him in. He was able to meet Zinchenko and Zaka and all these lads, and I had to tell my son, my 9-year-old son, in 1983 I queued up outside a sports shop in Macrofeld to get, after the 1982 World Cup, to get Pat Jennings to sign a football for me, and I kept it for ages, you know what I mean, and I queued up for hours to get Pat Jennings to sign a football. That's what it meant, because that was the only, and how times change. Now times move on. I'm very lucky I actually know Pat Jennings. I played golf with Pat Jennings, and you think how your life can change. So but so it's important. And I actually, going totally off the subject, I just, there was a few football teams and different people have got different lads have got, but not interacting with fans, and I this thing like every, and they should, and they should have a little, because every hero is a hero. Do you know what I mean? Everyone at some point in their life will look up to a Sean FitzPatrick or a Bryan Habana or something like that. They will have all looked up to some people at some stage in their life, and you think that little boy could have been me. So I think in sport it's an important thing to remember that no matter how big you are, and everyone has a time, don't they?
Yeah.
Everyone becomes a has-been. Like no disrespect, but like most of the lads that are here.
Don't know about that.
They won't like me saying it, but like that's what I am. I'm a has-been. You know what I mean? So, but there will be a time come when there will be kids that look up to, jockeys or rugby players or soccer players, and be thinking you need to put yourself in that position of being a 10 or 11-year-old boy, and or a 7 or 8 or 9-year-old boy looking up to one of these people, and then he not giving you the, so.
And you've waited there for probably hours.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Anyway, look, it's the great thing about sport is that, if you're lucky enough to have lived your life through it, you're very lucky. Anyway, that was just a little rant I had about some.
But no, it's brilliant, and I appreciate you sharing it with me. When you look back on your journey now, it's been quite the journey. Were you able to enjoy it the whole way through, or do you look back now?
I enjoyed the torture. I liked being miserable. I liked not being content. I liked never being satisfied. I enjoyed the mental side of making myself unhappy, of never getting to never getting to where I wanted to go. I never achieved what I wanted to achieve. The goal just kept moving. Every time I had a target, it went away. It was like, oh, I've done that, you know, but it's obviously what makes you happy, isn't it? It's what makes you happy in sport, and it's you know, I think in sport you want to be different. You know, you want to try and do things that everyone's got opinions about who's good at this and good at that, and, you know, but statistics don't lie about anything. You know what I mean? When it's in writing and it's all up there, then no one can say, you know, whether someone was good or not good, or, you know. So that's what I always thought. I didn't really care about what anyone else thought about me. I wanted to have it in black and white to say that, yeah, you did that. So no one can say that everyone else was better than you. Like, I don't care, as long as I'm happy in my mind. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to bore you on. No one wants to listen to my boring stuff anymore.
I'm very much